How you doing, guys? This is Eric from secretoftheinternet.com, rulethewasteland.com. There's been a lot of stuff going on in the world in the past few weeks. Everyone has been losing their mind since Trump's inauguration. There have been huge women's protests in many states across the country, and a lot of people are still trying to figure out exactly what these people are protesting, and I'm not sure if they even know. If you've seen a lot of people who try to do these missives on Facebook about like, oh, this is why I've heard people refer to the gender wage gap a bunch of times, which I'll do a video on that because it's absolutely ridiculous. It's one of the dumbest things that they are repeating. And someone said something about because people still call my daughter cute when they see her, and I'm like, okay, if only we all suffered so greatly. Yeah, so there's just a lot. And one of the main things that's cropped up in all these complaints from women in one of the most just greatest countries to live in the history of humanity, where we have the most rights ever. And I'm not saying that if there is something that this country's doing wrong that you shouldn't try to fix it, but they don't seem to have figured out exactly what they're protesting against. And the list of things that I've seen, which are just reasons that they've come up with about why it sucks to be, they think it sucks to be a woman or something, all of them would have been true during when Obama was elected as well, and they weren't marching out on that inauguration day protesting any of these things. So anyways, but one of the big issues is supposed health care, and that health care is a right and all these things, and they're not getting the $24 or the free birth control or whatever they think they should be getting. I even saw some woman with a sign talking about how since guys get or don't have to pay for razors, they shouldn't have to pay for tampons. I'm like, they must not know any guys, because no one's ever given me actually, that's not true. I got one free razor on my 18th birthday. Gillette sent me a free razor, and I still have that handle. That was a long time ago. Nobody tell them that their handles last that long, or they'll probably start making them shittier. Planned obsolescence. And they might actually already start making them. I bet if you bought one now, it wouldn't last over 15 years, or about 15 years. Anyways, so healthcare, that's the issue that I'm talking about in this video. Why healthcare is absolutely not a right, and it certainly shouldn't be, in my opinion, provided for by the government, but that is a separate argument. The main focus of this one is why it's not a right, because a lot of people keep saying healthcare is a fundamental right, which is just nonsense, regardless of what you think the government should be doing. This has nothing to do with whether you think we should have single payer, universal healthcare, or a national healthcare system, or if everyone should just be left to figure it out on their own. It doesn't matter what you think on this about whether you think healthcare is a fundamental right or not. Now, first of all, we have to get into what is healthcare. A lot of people probably have separate, slightly different definitions for what they would consider healthcare, but there really is no definition that you could have for healthcare that didn't include medicine, medical treatments, medical procedures, the advice of doctors, consultations of doctors, the effort of doctors, and things like that. So here we have something that, no matter how you describe it, includes physical resources and another human being's time and labor. So unless you're suggesting that as a fundamental right, humans have ownership of physical resources and other human beings' time and labor, which I mean, that's what they're suggesting. I don't know if they've thought about it, but obviously that makes it impossible for something to be a human right if it includes ownership of something and ownership of another human being's time and labor. It is not a fundamental right to have ownership of another human being's time, labor, and expertise. It's not a fundamental human right to have medicine, to have procedures, to have physical resources, medical equipment, bandages, any of that stuff. That you can't have a fundamental right to own something. That's just not the way it works. And the second point is that a fundamental human right is something that would have existed for all humans, no matter their status, their age, gender, any of that stuff. We all would have it. It doesn't matter when this person would have lived, they still would have had this thing if it is a real human right. It would have existed for as long as humans existed, which is certainly not true of healthcare. Healthcare didn't exist for a large chunk of human history. So none of these medicines existed, none of these procedures existed. There wasn't even such thing as doctors most of the time, you know, in tribal villages and things like that. There may have been someone who thought they knew what you should do, but certainly none of the procedures or medicine or anything like that existed. So you're saying that humans have a right to something that hasn't, you know, naturally. Humans have a right to something that hasn't even always naturally existed. So it's pretty absurd. But certainly the major point is that you can't have something as a right if it's something that's a physical item, and you can just claim all humans can't have natural possession of something. Certainly not another human being's time and expertise and labor. So the idea that healthcare is a right is absolutely absurd. You can keep this video in mind next time someone says that to you. Ask them, say, what is healthcare? And their definitions are all going to be different, but they're all going to include physical items like medicine, like medical equipment, and they're all going to include the labor, the expertise, and the time of other human beings. So unless they're claiming to own the time of other human beings and own, just by virtue of being human, certain physical resources, then they're obviously not making sense. And even if they are claiming those things, they're certainly wrong. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll talk to you later.